I went to the doctor for a yeast infection. And through various testing and whatnot that resulted from that visit, was found to have type 2 diabetes and congestive heart failure. The diabetes diagnosis didn't come as much of a shock, simply because there's a long history of it in my family, and honestly, there were several symptoms, noticeable, visible symptoms, that I just wasn't aware of, that I didn't know. I didn't know what was going on. But to be 24 and to have a doctor tell you that your heart is only functioning at about 30 to 35% of its capacity, that the ejection fraction, the amount of blood that is pumped out during each contraction, is only at about 30 to 35%, and that you may have a possible blocked artery. That's damn scary. That it's enough to just stop you right in your tracks. And Lord knows it did me. And the fear that came with that diagnosis, of knowing that I was being diagnosed with a life-threatening health condition, was overwhelming. And the fear was only compounded by the fact that I knew my father had dropped dead of a massive heart attack in the front yard of his house just 7 months before I was diagnosed. He was 47, and I was 24, and appeared to be on the path to meet the same fate. It's scary as hell. And I asked the doctor shortly after being diagnosed the amount of time that I might have had left to live had things continued without knowing. And I was told maybe a few months, maybe 3 months, maybe a little longer. They didn't really know. I could have dropped dead at any time because of my heart and the condition that I was in. By all rights, 2.5 years later, I shouldn't be sitting here in front of this camera talking. I should have been dead 2.5 years ago. Thanks to the efforts of my doctors and the people that I have on my medical team, and the effort that I've put into it, the medications that I've been on, and the overwhelming support of my family and friends and colleagues, I've managed to survive 2 years, 2.5 years, with type 2 diabetes and congestive heart failure. Now, I knew early on that type 2 diabetes was something that I was going to be able to live with. I knew that I would be able to do that. I knew that there were folks that had lived decades with it. And that, okay, if I made changes, well, and got my numbers and stuff under control, that I'd be able to live with it. But what I didn't know was whether or not I'd be able to live with the congestive heart failure. And when I was first diagnosed, all of my attention I wasn't able to focus so much on my diabetes. I kind of went through a, for the lack of a better word, kind of a crash course on how to manage my diabetes, and got into the routine of testing my blood sugars and eating better and, taking my medications and all of that, and it just kind of became a routine. And kind of just got pushed to the back part of my mind. And the majority of my thoughts and everything else and energy just went towards trying to figure out what to do about my heart problem. Type 2 diabetes is something that you can live with, but you can't live with it if your heart just completely gives out. And that was and still is my biggest fear. I'm not so much afraid of, and I know I should be afraid of the idea that, my blood sugar could go too high or too low and could end up dying from either one. But when you're diagnosed with two different conditions like that, especially one that involves the heart, the one that's really keeping you alive becomes the priority. And so all of my focus was on keeping my heart beating and improving the strength of it and trying to just stay alive. And it hasn't been easy. It certainly has not been easy. I've had a lot of sleepless nights the last 2.5 years. And the first 6 months were probably about the worst out of all of it. Simply because I could not go to bed at night. I could not sleep. Simply because I was afraid that I wouldn't wake up in the morning. That my heart would just give out and I would not wake up. And that somebody would end up finding me here dead in my bed alone. It's just one of those fears that's justifiable. It's not something that someone my age should be having to think about and having to deal with. But obviously, that's what I have to do. It's what I deal with. And it's not easy. I can say, though, no matter how difficult it's been, I'm still fortunate enough to be sitting here talking to you. That I'm still alive. And my life has really been enriched by the experiences that I've had with these diseases the last 2 years. I've had an awful lot of opportunities come to me because of my health. I've met some amazing people. And the support and encouragement that I get from all of my friends in the diabetes online community is really what keeps me going. And I love everyone in the community. I really do. And, you know, you guys help keep me going. And as this little bracelet that I have that I got from Justice and Alexis, you know, you guys give me hope. I look at so many people in the community who have lived with diabetes for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And I see and I understand that I really can live with this disease. It really is possible to live a long time with this disease. And while most of the people in the community don't really know what it's like to live with the heart disease or the congestive heart failure, all of you know what it's like to live with diabetes. And while you don't really know for sure what I'm going through, you're there. You still at least offer support. And an encouragement to keep doing what I need to do. And that means a lot. As I said, it gives me hope. In this game of diabetes is never ending. It doesn't sleep, it doesn't stop. It's always with you. And some days you really just have to win by any means necessary. But you can do it. It may take you a few tries. You may get knocked down. You may have to get back up. But you can do it. And I encourage you to do it. Not just for yourself, but for everybody else around you. You know, no one ever promised that life would be easy. Nobody. Nobody ever promised that life would be easy. But the good news is, you really can do this.